The crossing. How humanity reached the stars. The sky above New Geneva burned orange every evening now. It had been that way for 3 years, ever since the atmospheric stabilizers finally began working. Dr. Elena Kovac stood on the observation deck of the reconstruction tower, watching the sunset through reinforced glass. The city below stretched for miles, a patchwork of old ruins and new buildings standing side by side. "Still think it's beautiful?" asked Marcus Chen, stepping beside her with 2 cups of coffee. Elena smiled faintly. "It reminds me we survived." Marcus nodded. He understood. Everyone their age understood. They had been children when the climate cascade happened, when rising temperatures triggered feedback loops that nearly destroyed everything. Coastal cities flooded. Farmlands turned to desert. Storms grew so violent that people stopped counting the dead. But humanity did not surrender. They adapted. They built vertical farms inside abandoned skyscrapers. They created new water systems from melted ice and ocean desalination. They designed cities that could withstand hurricanes and earthquakes. It took 50 years of relentless work, but slowly, painfully, Earth began to heal. And then humanity looked upward. "The Council approved the mission," Marcus said quietly. "We launch in 6 months." Elena's breath caught. "They're really letting us go?" "Letting us?" Marcus laughed. "Elena, they're sending us. The Endeavor, the Resilience, and the Horizon. 3 ships. 3 crews. First human vessels to leave the solar system." Elena felt tears sting her eyes. She had spent her entire career working toward this moment, designing the fusion drives that would carry them beyond Jupiter, beyond the Kuiper Belt, into interstellar space. But even now, it felt impossible. "We're not ready," she whispered. Marcus turned to face her. "We've never been ready for anything. But we do it anyway." 6 months passed in a blur of preparation, training, and sleepless nights. Elena stood in the hangar bay of the Endeavor, staring up at the ship that would carry her into the unknown. It was smaller than she expected, barely 300 meters long, shaped like a narrow cylinder with massive engines at the rear. "She doesn't look like much," said Commander Amara Okoye, approaching with her helmet under one arm. Amara was the mission commander, a former military pilot with steady hands and a reputation for staying calm under pressure. "She's tougher than she looks," Elena replied. "Reinforced titanium hull. Triple-layered radiation shielding. If something hits us, we'll feel it, but we won't break." "Good," Amara said. "Because once we cross into deep space, there's no coming home for repairs." Elena swallowed hard. She knew the risks. Everyone did. The journey to Proxima Centauri would take 4 years, even at near light speed. 4 years in a metal tube, surrounded by the endless void. No second chances. No rescue missions. But humanity had survived worse. Launch day arrived cold and clear. Millions of people gathered around screens across Earth, watching as the 3 ships powered up their engines. Elena sat in the engineering bay, her fingers dancing across holographic displays as she monitored the fusion reactors. "All systems green," she reported. "Copy that," Amara's voice crackled through the comms. "Flight control, this is Endeavor. We are ready for departure." A pause. Then a voice from Earth, calm, steady, proud. "Endeavor, you are cleared for launch. Godspeed, humanity." The engines roared to life. Elena felt the vibration through the walls, through her chest, through her bones. The ship lifted slowly at first, rising above the launch pad, above the city, above the clouds. Then the main engines engaged, and suddenly they were accelerating, faster and faster, pressing her back into her seat. Through the viewport, Earth shrank behind them. Blue and green and white, wrapped in swirling clouds. Beautiful. Fragile. Home. "We're going to miss it," Marcus said quietly beside her. Yeah, Elena whispered. But we'll carry it with us. The first month in space was routine. Too routine. The crew settled into their schedules, work shifts, exercise routines, meal times. Elena spent her days maintaining the engines, running diagnostics, checking for micrometeorite damage. Marcus worked in the hydroponics bay, coaxing vegetables from artificial soil. Amara piloted the ship through the empty dark. But on day 37, everything changed. Contact, Lieutenant Samir Patel announced from the navigation console. Unknown object, bearing 270, distance 50,000 kilometers. Amara straightened. Show me. The main screen flickered to life. There, hanging in the void, was a ship. But it was unlike anything humanity had ever built. Sleek. Organic. Covered in strange markings that glowed faintly purple. Is it alive? Marcus breathed. No, Elena said, studying the readings. But it's moving. Changing course. Heading toward us. Amara's jaw tightened. Battle stations. Power up defensive systems. Commander, we don't even know if. Now, Lieutenant. The crew moved quickly, strapping into their stations, activating weapon systems that had never been tested in combat. Elena's heart hammered against her ribs. They had trained for first contact. They had protocols. But none of those protocols involved a hostile ship closing in at high speed. Incoming transmission, Samir reported. Audio only. It's translated somehow. I can understand it. Play it, Amara ordered. The voice that filled the bridge was cold, sharp, and utterly alien. Human vessel. You have entered Shilon territory. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will be met with force. Silence. Then Amara smiled, a thin, dangerous smile. Send a reply, she said quietly. Tell them, humanity doesn't surrender anymore. The test. When humanity refused to bow. The Shilon ship hung in the void like a predator circling wounded prey. Its hull shimmered with that eerie purple glow, and now that it was closer, Elena could see smaller craft detaching from its sides, boarding pods, moving slowly toward the Endeavor. They're not waiting for our answer, Samir said, his voice tight. Commander Amara Okoye stood perfectly still, her eyes fixed on the screen. How long until those pods reach us? 4 minutes, Elena replied, checking her readings. Maybe 5. Weapon status. Lieutenant Daria Volkov looked up from tactical. Rail guns charged. Missile tubes loaded. But Commander, we've never fired these in combat. We don't even know if they'll work against alien technology. Amara nodded slowly. Then we're about to find out. Open a channel. Samir's fingers moved across his console. Channel open. Amara stepped forward, her voice calm and clear. Shilon vessel. This is Commander Amara Okoye of the Earth ship Endeavor. We are on a peaceful exploratory mission. We did not know this was your territory. We mean you no harm. For a moment, there was only silence. Then that cold, sharp voice returned. Your ignorance is irrelevant. Your vessel contains technology we wish to examine. You will comply, or you will be destroyed. Elena's blood ran cold. They weren't asking. They were taking. Marcus gripped the edge of his console. Commander, they're not going to negotiate. I know, Amara said quietly. Then, louder, Shilon vessel, you need to understand something. Humanity has faced extinction before. We have been broken, burned, and pushed to the edge of death. And every single time, we survived, not by surrendering, but by fighting back. She paused, letting the words hang in the darkness. If you try to board this ship, we will defend ourselves. Turn away now, and we can both leave in peace. Another silence. Longer this time. Then the Shilon voice returned, and now it sounded amused. You are 3 small ships. We are the Shilon Dominion, conquerors of 40 star systems. You are insects threatening a storm. This will be your only warning: stand down, or be erased. Amara's jaw tightened. She looked around the bridge, at Elena, at Marcus, at Samir and Daria. She saw fear in their eyes. But she also saw something else: determination. The same stubborn refusal to quit that had carried humanity through every disaster, every war, every impossible challenge. Tactical, Amara said softly. Target those boarding pods. Fire on my mark. Commander, Daria hesitated. If we fire first, this becomes a war. No, Amara corrected. If we let them board us, this becomes a slaughter. Fire. The Endeavour shuddered as rail guns spat streams of magnetically accelerated projectiles into the void. The boarding pods barely had time to react. Metal tore through their hulls, sending them spinning off course in silent explosions of debris and frozen atmosphere. Direct hits, Daria reported, her voice shaking. All pods destroyed. The Shilon ship stopped moving. For 3 long seconds, nothing happened. Then it attacked. Beams of purple energy lanced through space, slamming into the Endeavour's shields. Alarms shrieked. The lights flickered. Elena grabbed her console as the ship lurched sideways. Shields down to 70%. Samir shouted. Evasive maneuvers. Amara barked. Daria, return fire. All weapons. The Endeavour twisted and rolled, its smaller size making it faster, more agile than the massive Shilon vessel. Missiles streaked from launch tubes, detonating against the alien ship's shields in brilliant flashes. Rail gun rounds hammered at weak points in its armor. But the Shilon ship was stronger. Its weapons were more advanced. Its shields absorbed damage that should have crippled it. We can't win a straight fight, Marcus said, stating the obvious. Elena's mind raced. She pulled up schematics of the Shilon vessel, analyzing its energy signatures. There, a pattern in its shield frequency, a rhythm to its weapon fire. Commander, she called out. Their shields pulse. Every 7 seconds, there's a quarter-second gap when they recalibrate. If we time our shots perfectly. Do it, Amara ordered. Daria, coordinate with Elena. Wait for the gap, then hit them with everything. Daria nodded, her hands flying across her console. Missiles armed. Rail guns locked. Waiting for the signal. Elena watched the readings, counting down. 7 seconds. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Now. The Endeavour unleashed everything at once. Missiles, rail gun rounds, focused energy beams, all striking the same point on the Shilon ship's hull in that fraction of a second when its shields were down. The alien vessel shuddered. A section of its hull tore open, venting atmosphere and debris. Internal explosions rippled through its structure. We hit something critical. Samir yelled. Their weapons are powering down. But they weren't retreating. Instead, the Shilon ship began launching more pods, dozens of them, spreading out in all directions. They're trying to surround us, Marcus realized. Amara's expression darkened. Then we need help. Open a channel to the Resilience and the Horizon. Tell them we're under attack and need immediate support. Commander, they're 12 hours away at maximum burn, Samir protested. I know. Open the channel anyway. The next 10 minutes were chaos. The Endeavour dodged and weaved through swarms of Shilon attack pods, each one firing streams of energy weapons. The ship's shields flickered and failed. Hull breaches opened on 3 decks. Emergency bulkheads sealed automatically, cutting off entire sections of the ship. Elena rerouted power from life support to weapons. Marcus abandoned the hydroponics bay and ran to damage control, sealing breaches with emergency foam. Daria fired until the rail guns overheated, then switched to missiles, then back to rail guns when they cooled. And through it all, Amara stood at the center of the bridge, calm and steady, calling out orders with the precision of a surgeon. Port side, 2 incoming. Starboard, target that cluster. Elena, I need more power to forward shields. Samir, where are our reinforcements? Still 8 hours out, Commander. But they're pushing their engines past safety limits. They'll be here as fast as they can. 8 hours. They had to survive 8 more hours. Then the Shilon ship did something unexpected. It stopped firing. The attack pods pulled back, forming a defensive perimeter around the larger vessel. And that cold voice returned, but now it sounded different. Not amused. Not arrogant. Cautious. Human vessel. You fight well. Better than expected. We underestimated you. Amara didn't relax. Does that mean you're leaving? It means we are, reconsidering. The Shilon do not waste resources on prey that fights back this fiercely. You have proven yourselves worthy of respect. Daria glanced at Amara. Is that a compliment or a threat? Both, Amara muttered. Then, louder, Shilon vessel, we don't want your respect. We want you to leave us alone. A pause. Very well. But know this, humans, the galaxy is not empty. There are powers far greater than us. Far more dangerous. If you wish to survive, you must become stronger. Much stronger. The Shilon ship began to pull away, its engines glowing brighter. The attack pods followed, retreating into the darkness. Within minutes, they were gone. The bridge fell silent except for the sound of alarms and damaged systems struggling to function. Elena slumped in her chair, her hands shaking. Marcus leaned against a bulkhead, breathing hard. Daria stared at her console, disbelief written across her face. Did we just win? Samir asked. Amara exhaled slowly. We survived. That's what matters. Elena looked at the damage report scrolling across her screen. 17 hull breaches. 3 engines offline. Life support functioning at 60%. But they were alive. The ship was intact. And they had sent a message to the galaxy. Humanity would not be easy prey. Commander, Marcus said quietly. The Shilon said there are greater powers out there. More dangerous ones. I know, Amara replied. She turned to face her crew, and despite the exhaustion in her eyes, there was something else there too, something unbreakable. Then we'll face them the same way we faced the Shilon. The same way we faced every disaster on Earth. We'll adapt. We'll learn. We'll survive. She glanced at the view screen, where stars stretched endlessly into the distance. Because that's what humanity does. We don't give up. Ever. The return. When the galaxy learned who humanity was. 8 months later, the Endeavour limped back into Earth's orbit. The ship looked like it had been through a war, because it had. Scorch marks covered the hull. Entire sections were patched with emergency plating. One of the main engines was held together with reinforced struts and hope. But it was home. Elena stood at the viewport, watching Earth grow larger in the distance. Blue oceans. Green continents. White clouds swirling across familiar landscapes. She had dreamed of this moment for months, lying awake in her bunk, listening to the damaged ship creak and groan, wondering if they would ever make it back. Beautiful, isn't it? Marcus said, joining her. His arm was still in a sling from the battle, a broken bone that had healed crooked in zero gravity. I didn't think we'd see it again, Elena admitted. Neither did I. Marcus smiled faintly. But here we are. Still breathing. Still fighting. Behind them, Commander Amara Okoye spoke quietly into the communications console. Earth Control, this is Endeavour. Requesting priority landing at New Geneva Spaceport. A moment of static. Then a voice, trembling with emotion. Endeavour, this is Earth Control. Welcome home. The entire planet has been waiting for you. The landing was not smooth. The Endeavour's damaged engines struggled to control the descent, forcing Amara to pilot manually through the atmosphere. The ship shook violently. Heat shields glowed red-hot. Alarms screamed warnings about structural stress. But Amara's hands never wavered. Almost there, she muttered, adjusting the angle. Come on, girl. Just a little further. The ship broke through the clouds, and suddenly they could see New Geneva below. Thousands of people gathered at the spaceport, waving flags, holding signs, cheering even though they couldn't possibly hear them yet. They know, Samir whispered, staring at the crowds. They know what we did. The Endeavour touched down with a bone-jarring thud that sent everyone stumbling. Emergency crews rushed forward immediately, attaching support structures to the damaged hull. Medical teams stood by with stretchers. But no one was more injured than the ship itself. Amara stood slowly, looking around at her crew, exhausted, bruised, but alive. We did it, she said simply. We made it home. The crew erupted in cheers, hugging each other, crying, laughing. Elena felt tears streaming down her face, and for once, she didn't try to stop them. They had survived the impossible. Again. The debriefing took 3 days. Elena, Amara, Marcus, and the rest of the crew sat in a secure conference room, surrounded by government officials, military commanders, scientists, and diplomats. They told their story, every detail, every moment of the encounter with the Shilon. Some officials were excited. Others were terrified. We need to militarize immediately, General Kwame argued, slamming his hand on the table. Build warships. Weapons platforms. Defense stations. If the Shilon come back. They won't, Amara interrupted calmly. They said it themselves. They don't waste resources on prey that fights back. We proved we're not easy targets. But what about the other powers they mentioned, asked Ambassador Chen. The ones they said were more dangerous. Elena leaned forward. Then we prepare. Not for war, for survival. We build better ships. Better engines. Better shields. We learn everything we can about the galaxy and who's out there. And we don't do it alone, Marcus added. The Resilience and the Horizon are still out there, exploring, gathering data. We share everything we learn. We work together. That's how humanity has always survived, by refusing to give up and by standing together. The room fell silent. Finally, Secretary General Okafor spoke. She was an older woman, gray-haired and sharp-eyed, who had led Earth through the final years of the climate cascade. She understood survival. You're right, she said quietly. We don't militarize. We don't panic. We do what we've always done, we adapt. We'll build more ships. We'll send more missions. We'll learn everything we can about this galaxy we've entered. She looked directly at Amara. And we'll send our best people to do it. People like you. 6 months later, Elena stood once again in the hangar bay, but this time, she was looking at a different ship. The Defiance was larger than the Endeavour, sleeker, more advanced. Humanity had learned from the battle with the Shilon. The new ship had stronger shields, faster engines, better weapons. But more importantly, it had something else, purpose. This wasn't just an exploration vessel. This was humanity's declaration to the galaxy, we are here. We are strong. And we will not be intimidated. You ready for another trip? Amara asked, approaching with her flight helmet. Elena smiled. I've been ready since we got back. Good. Because this time, we're not going alone. She gestured toward the hangar entrance. Elena turned, and gasped. Ships. Dozens of them. The Resilience and the Horizon had returned, and they had brought others. The courage. The tenacity. The unbroken. Each one carried a crew of scientists, engineers, pilots, and soldiers. Each one represented humanity's refusal to stay small, stay quiet, stay hidden. We're building a fleet, Amara explained. Not for conquest. For exploration. For protection. For making sure that when humanity meets the next alien species, we do it on our terms. Marcus joined them, grinning. Sounds like humanity is officially joining the galactic community. More like crashing the party, Elena laughed. Even better. 3 weeks later, the fleet launched. 17 ships, carrying over 2,000 people, rose from Earth and accelerated toward the stars. This time, there were no tearful goodbyes. This time, humanity wasn't leaving home, they were expanding it. Elena sat at her engineering station aboard the Defiance, monitoring the engines as they pushed deeper into space. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of mystery, danger, and possibility. Unidentified contact, Samir announced suddenly. Bearing 345. Distance, 200,000 kilometers. The bridge tensed. Amara straightened. Show me. The screen flickered. This time, the ship was different, elegant, crystalline, glowing with soft blue light. Nothing like the aggressive Shilon vessel. Incoming transmission, Samir said. Audio and visual. Play it. The screen changed, and for the first time, humanity saw an alien face. It was beautiful, delicate features, large eyes that shimmered with intelligence, skin that seemed to shift colors like oil on water. When it spoke, its voice was musical, curious. Greetings, travelers. We are the Ether Collective. We have been watching your species with great interest. You are unusual. Amara raised an eyebrow. Unusual how? The alien tilted its head. Most species enter the galaxy with pride, with arrogance, or with fear. You entered with none of these. You entered with determination. With resilience. With a refusal to surrender that we have never seen before. It paused. The Shilon told stories about you. They said you were dangerous. That you fought like creatures who had nothing to lose and everything to prove. They warned others to leave you alone. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. The Shilon had warned others about humanity. We do not fear you, the Ether continued. But we respect you. And so, we offer friendship. Knowledge. An alliance, if you wish it. Amara glanced at her crew. Then she smiled, a genuine, warm smile. We accept, she said. On one condition. And what is that? You treat us as equals. Not as children to guide. Not as threats to contain. As equals. The Ether was silent for a moment. Then it made a sound, a lilting, musical laugh. You are very young as a species. You have much to learn. But yes, we will treat you as equals. Because you have earned it. The years that followed changed everything. Humanity joined the Galactic Council, a coalition of species that shared knowledge, resources, and protection. They learned about ancient civilizations, quantum physics beyond anything Earth scientists had imagined, and technologies that seemed like magic. But humanity also taught. They taught others about resilience. About adaptation. About refusing to surrender even when defeat seemed certain. They shared the story of Earth's near destruction and humanity's desperate fight for survival. And slowly, the galaxy began to understand something important. Humanity was not the strongest species. They were not the smartest, or the oldest, or the most advanced. But they were the most stubborn. They were the species that had faced extinction and survived. The species that had entered space with broken ships and stubborn hearts. The species that had fought the Shilon and forced them to retreat. They were survivors. Explorers. Defenders. And they were here to stay. 20 years after the Endeavour's first journey, Elena stood once again on the observation deck of New Geneva Tower. But this time, she wasn't watching Earth's sunset. She was watching the sky. Ships, hundreds of them, moved through Earth's orbit. Human ships. Ether ships. Vessels from a dozen different species, all working together, building, exploring, protecting. "We did it," Marcus said, standing beside her. He was older now, gray-haired and tired. But his eyes still held that same stubborn spark. "We did," Elena agreed. "We reached the stars. And we didn't just survive, we thrived. Do you think it's over? The danger, I mean." Elena shook her head. "No. There will always be danger. The galaxy is vast, and we've barely seen any of it. There are still species out there that might threaten us. Still challenges we can't imagine. So what do we do?" Elena smiled, the same smile she had worn 20 years ago, standing on this exact spot, watching the sky burn orange. "We do what we've always done. We adapt. We learn. We fight when we have to. We build when we can. And we never, ever give up." Marcus nodded slowly. "Sounds like humanity." "It is," Elena said. "It always has been." She looked up at the stars, those distant, glittering points of light that humanity had once only dreamed of reaching. Now, they were home. And humanity had learned something the galaxy would never forget. You don't reach the stars by being the strongest, or the smartest, or the most advanced. You reach the stars by refusing to stop.